All right, hello everybody. Welcome to the Squirtle State Tournament wrap-up. My name is Michael Swisher, and I am joined by Ben Johnson. I am kind of the West Side representative for Squirtle, and Ben, now new with us, is repping us on the East Side. So some of you may know who I am. Not sure who Ben is, and some of you know Ben fully well and don't have a clue who I am. So first of all, Ben, welcome to Squirtle. I've been singing your praises to several people for quite a while, and we got the chance to snatch you up at Squirtle. So, first of all, welcome.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm glad to be aboard. I'll let you introduce yourself, since people might not know who you are, which sounds crazy.
Yeah, wondering who in the world I am. I am Michael Swisher. I am the managing editor at the Kingfisher Times and Free Press. Managing editor is a fancy word for makes some important decisions and also takes out the garbage. A lot of people. Some people, I should say, not a lot, might remember me from my Coach's Aid days. So I've been covering high school sports for, 20 years now, longer than Ben's been alive. So I've been around for quite a while. And back in those old Coach's Aid days, I used to run across you, Ben, back when you were working for Tahlequah newspaper. I remember several meetings up at the Hall of Fame Stadium. And so I'm sure there are a few others, but just go ahead and let people know who you are.
I'm Ben Johnson, and at some point we'll have to do something about all this. But in my wife's office for now, so any and all ridicule is welcome, with the pink and teal and cream in the background. But no, I started out with the Sepulpa paper, covering some Sepulpa Kiefer Mounds and Kellyville. I almost forgot Kellyville.
Don't forget the ponies.
Do I?
Don't forget the ponies.
I can't. I don't know how I did. And then I moved seamlessly to Tahlequah, where I did some Tahlequah, Key, Sequoia, Holbert, and NSU action, and now I'm in the Tulsa area and doing stuff for the Tulsa World, cover ORU basketball, cover high school sports, mainly football, and football, softball, volleyball, cross country in the fall, and just help out when needed.
Yeah. So you guys have probably seen already some of Ben's stuff pop up on our website. You'll be seeing a lot more as he's going to be contributing quite a bit more. And hopefully this is something new we're trying. Hopefully this works and we're not wasting our time. But hopefully this becomes a bit of a regular feature, maybe a video podcast, if you will, vodcast maybe. I'm sure there's a name for it, and it's just escaping me right now.
Right.
But something that really I haven't seen anybody else doing, and it's just a chance. Ben was up at 5A, 6A this past weekend. I was at State Fair Arena, where all the cool people hang out, and then a few others, of course. Let's go ahead and just kind of talk a little bit about what we saw this weekend, maybe some things that jumped out at us, impressed us, disappointed us. I know maybe there was a school that disappointed you, possibly in the 6A boys semifinals, but you were expecting that. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's start with the 6A boys. Putnam City North comes out the champion, first ever title there. And Coach Wagner, I've known him since his days when he was the Piedmont coach, and I believe there was a stretch there when they first made the jump to 5A and got in the conference with Carl Albert and all them, where they couldn't win a game. And then he turned Piedmont around and got them going, and now he's got Putnam City, and he's got a title there, and pretty impressive run for them.
Yeah, I'll be honest, Thursday, they were in a lot of trouble against Union. The Putnam, PC North and Union game was a game that was just beyond ugly, just because I think Union wanted it that way, and Union really uglied it up, but then PC North came up with a couple late turnovers. And then fast forward to Saturday, Grow didn't have much of a problem with Edmond Santa Fe. I mean, I thought it would be a pretty close game because Tarion Knight and Camden Gibson, Ben Smith, those guys for Edmond Santa Fe, I thought they'd keep it close. But PC North, man, they surprised me. I was obviously, like you said, a little disappointed because my alma mater, Broken Arrow, came up short, but when you grow up and you've seen it year in and year out, and you kind of expect it. So I got to talk a little bit with Adoki. I'll see if I can get his name right for the first time. Adoki EIA. But I had to talk to him Thursday after they beat Union, and he impressed me the entire tournament. I thought he really stood out. And I think, if I remember off the top of my head, I think he's going to UTSA. I thought that's what the ORU coach had told me. And he's a kid that maybe the state school shouldn't let get out of here because at the college level, he might be a scrapper, but he's pretty good.
And just a reminder to everybody, our guy Whit Carter was also up there all weekend, and he was doing interviews and wrap-ups throughout the week. So I encourage you to go to our app or go to Squirtle.com or to our YouTube channel, and you can find all those videos and Ben's stories that he's sending, that he's putting up on this site. He's also providing links to a lot of those interviews. So if you guys haven't checked those out, please do so because there's some good stuff in some of those. 6A girls, I wasn't necessarily shocked by Owasso winning it. I mean, I didn't see the games. I mean, that was the team that won the Tournament of Champions, so we knew that they could win some big games. But what did you see there? Were you surprised to see Owasso pull that out?
No, I thought that with Taryn Milton and Maya Benmar, when you watch them, they're kind of, PC West obviously has their own collection of talent, but Taryn Milton and Maya Benmar just are kind of those athletes that are on a different level in girls basketball, and, they both came to play in the championship game, and Leona Coley as well. 3 seniors for Owasso really carried them, and at this point in the year, that's what a coach can only hope for, is that a senior throws them on the back and throws the team on their back, and that's what they did. Owasso, kind of the year for Owasso going right now with football title and girls. Boys narrowly missed the state tournament, but Terry Milton finally got it done, and now she can kind of brag to her brother that she got a state title, and he did. Yeah,
you don't that shake. Got me a gold ball, and you don't. Were you surprised the Owasso boys didn't make it in? I mean, I know that they made some noise early in the season.
Yeah, a little bit, but after watching Sand Springs against Norman North, I thought I could definitely understand why Sand Springs was in it, because they're kind of a gritty team. And then when you realize that Eric Savage, the coach, has 2 boys on the team, he's a heck of a coach, and he's going to have his sons ready to play. And they did all they could to try and get over the Norman North Hope in the quarterfinals, but couldn't quite do it. So it didn't totally surprise me that Owasso missed out.
All right, let's jump to 5A now. We'll go to 5A girls. Pryor against Booker T. Washington in the finals. BT Dub pulled it out in overtime, I believe. There's some good early matchups in this. Ike and Booker T in the quarterfinals.
Right. I thought Temple Woodward would actually be better than what it was, but Woodward blew him out.
Yeah. And then, Woodward, I think Pryor came back on Woodward in the semifinal round. Anyway, Booker T. Washington pulled it out. Tell me what you saw there. Anything that might have impressed you?
What's funny is you mentioned Pryor having to come from behind against Woodward. Pryor played almost the exact same game against Woodward, and then Booker T. in the championship just played awful in the first half. And Pryor was in position to win the thing, but I think they had a 4-point lead with about 56 seconds left, and all of a sudden things started to crumble, a couple turnovers. And then Chloe Martin for Pryor missed a free throw, and then kind of set up Booker T to tie the game. And Reese Anderson hit a shot in the lane, went to overtime. And once freshman Victoria Nunez hit a 3 in the corner, that was all she wrote for Pryor. You could just tell the snowball was getting too big, and Booker T has a ton of depth. And I think in overtime, they just kind of grinded Pryor into the ground.
Then 5A boys and probably the maybe the game of the entire weekend, either place. Definitely a good one between Memorial and Booker T. Washington. Obviously, they're familiar with each other, but sounded like they put on a classic show.
Yeah, I was asking Barry Lewis the last time he could remember a team playing each other 4 times in a season. And I think we finally, I would never give myself credit for talking to Barry. He remembers everything. And I think he remembered those Jinx Union a couple of years ago, played 4 times. But no, Booker T had won, I think, the last matchup in overtime. And no, they had won the second matchup in overtime. The Memorial beat them with the BOK showcase. So, Memorial had, they knew what to do against Booker T. And they kind of just leaned on their big guys. I mean, the Boone brothers, Caleb 6'9", Keelan is 6'7". I don't think you can really tell them that much apart. out on the court. And Caleb Boone, I thought, was the star of the game just because he shut Bryce Thompson and Booker T down.
Yeah.
A lot of people remember Rod Thompson at TU back in the day. His son's at Booker T now, and he put on a show in the semifinals and couldn't miss, and he was held to 4 points in the finals because Caleb Boone just gave him problems. And Bryce was dealing with an ankle injury, but there were so many stars on the court in that game. Guys like Jason B-Real for Booker T were unbelievable, and Shamar Walker, all 5'7" of them, hit a couple early threes for Memorial and set the tone.
Yeah, and Bryce didn't score to the second half, right? I mean, only had 4 points, but
yeah, he scored with like 4 minutes left in the third quarter, and he couldn't get anything going.
Yeah, a lot of next level talent in that ball game.
It was so much fun.
Yeah, and those are the ones that that's what you hope to see in the state finals is two teams.
Yep.
Really, the two best teams come in, play really well. You hate to see them come in and have the third day dead legs or just unfortunately, Bryce wasn't 100%, but the teams overall played well, and that's what you hope to see. So yeah, that was anything else over there? East of God's country that stood out to you up there in Tulsa?
I know there was a lot of talk before the semifinals about R.J. Fisher being suspended for lot night.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He got suspended for. I watched Jacob Unruh kind of work the whole day, and he was going back and forth with Mike Whaley trying to figure out what exactly happened. But you watch the video and it didn't look all that bad. But I guess what wasn't caught on video was, what got him. I guess he dunked the ball and kind of shoved the Coweta kid, and then I guess he went and kind of was taunting the Coweta crowd or did something that he got sideways, and you hate to see that, but you also hope that you realize if you're a high school basketball player and you have a technical foul, you probably need to calm it down a little bit.
Right, but what a way to end the season if a heck of a play to end your career.
Yeah.
That was a monster dunk there to end that one. I'm not trying to make light of his suspension, for the next game, but that was a heck of a play right there.
And Northwest Classen impressed me too. I know that they lost to Booker T in the semifinals, but they impressed me as well.
All right, let's move down the turnpike now to State Fair Arena. I'll go ahead and start with Class 4A.
Okay.
On the girls' side, we had, and I know you're kind of catching up on some of the things that have happened, but we had a rematch. Right. This was a game that we had seen already, and we kind of joked about it in our preview for the finals. Not too many times that you see two teams play for third place in a tournament, play for the state title later on in the season. But that was the case as Fort Gibson avenged its loss last year to Hera and won its fourth title, knocking off the defending state champion Hera Lady Panthers. And, this was it was probably similar to their first game. 54-50 was the first go-around. This time around, it turned it into double digits, but it was Fort Gibson just wearing down and pulling away late. But, Casey Glover joins her sisters in winning state titles, so she gets to join that club right there. She had, I think, 15, 16, 17 points. Zoe Shield Knight had 17 points and 13 rebounds. But, Hera just shot 5 of 21 from long range. And I thought sometimes maybe settled for some shots that they didn't. But you got to credit Fort Gibson for doing that. And Coach Chuck London taking over for Coach Walker. Jerry Walker, obviously, what he did speaks for itself. 3 titles and 13 straight trips to state. But Chuck takes over, and obviously they don't miss a beat. So it'll be interesting to see if that can continue. It is Fort Gibson. Yeah. You expect it to continue. But you also know at some point all runs come to an end. When will Fort Gibson's run come to an end? So that'll be interesting. I saw a video. If people follow I Was at the Game on Twitter, it's a fantastic resource, iwasatthegame.com, as far as historical data goes. Yeah. But they got some video of Chuck doing a little dance in the locker room after winning gold, and so that was pretty cool to see them. But a rematch of last year's state championship.
coming from Tahlequah, I obviously went to a lot of Fort Gibson games.
Yeah.
Whether it be Tahlequah or Sequip and the girls. And you always saw Jerry Walker just as nice as can be. But then you also saw the guy that was next to him for years.
Yeah.
And you knew Chuck, but that he was the secondary guy. And then for him to win his own title, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and and he's won a title for Bristow, so he had a taste of that and was able to pull another one out. So it's kind of odd. You see a guy win a state title somewhere, and I think he followed maybe Coach Glover there at Bristow and won a state title, and then he goes and is an assistant somewhere for such a long time, and then just an odd career path. But certainly, congrats to them. On the 4A boys side, this one definitely a game that I had some vested interest in as one of my teams, if you will, one of the teams that I cover. The Kingfisher Yellow Jackets were trying to repeat against Heritage Hall. Heritage Hall was able to pull it out 61-56. And I really thought this was probably there was some overtime game. There was an overtime game and stuff. But as far as just teams making plays down the stretch, this was a really fun game in the fourth quarter. Heritage Hall denied Kingfisher a perfect season. The Jackets were 28-0 coming in. They were trying to repeat, as I said. These were people who followed it. I've said all year I thought these two teams, despite Heritage Hall really not getting ranked any higher than fourth, I really thought Ardmore was a team that was going to be a team that had something to say about who would win it all, and ended up that Ada beat Ardmore in the area finals, and then really gave Kingfisher all it wanted in the quarterfinals. But you've been hearing about Trey Alexander, one of the top freshmen in the state, and dang, he lived up to it.
Yep.
I think he had 23 points in the second half. 23 of his 27, maybe. 9 rebounds,
right.
4-6 from 3-point range, and one of those was deep as he got really hot there. Another one was part of a 4-point play. That was a really huge swing in the game. Kingfisher led by 2, and Trey Green goes down, one of Kingfisher's forwards, and I'll talk about him in a second. But he goes down, and it's a 50-50 call, but he makes a bucket. Heritage Hall kid, I think it was Michael McLaughlin, but I'm not positive, drew a charge. Obviously, the Kingfisher coaches thought it was a horrible call. The Heritage Hall coaches thought it was a great call. Could have gone either way.
It's weird that happens in the state tournament. So.
Yeah, absolutely. But Trey made the shot. It was taken away, so you lose 3 points there potentially, and then they go down, and Alexander gets the 4-point play. So what could have been a 7-point swing in the game right there, really huge.
That's crazy. And
then it was Blake Horrell, with about 22 seconds left, hit a big 3-pointer to break to break a tie, and Kingfisher couldn't match it. Trey Green, I mentioned him. It was a minute and 9 seconds in, he collided with Will McDonald. I thought he hit his shoulder with his face. He had actually hit. We got a great picture of one of the guys that I use with my photographers. Hit face first into his rib cage, and it broke his nose, and he chipped some teeth. And he looked out of it to me. I mean, I didn't think there was any way he was going to come back in. But he's one of Kingfisher's 2 leading scorers, and he kind of had that Willis Reed moment. He went out of the game, went to the locker room, and with under a minute left, he comes trotting down the ramp with plugs up his nose. He'd gone through Kingfisher's got a great trainer in Wade Sunby. He'd gone through all the concussion protocol stuff. He was good to go. But he comes back. He scores 22 points on. He missed one shot all night, and it was the shot after Blake Correll made the 3-pointer. But just a valiant effort by him, but it's just going to be overshadowed because Kingfisher couldn't repeat as champions. But Heritage Hall is a really good team. They're going to lose some good kids, but you got Trey Alexander coming back. You're going to have a chance. So that meant I had to write the bad story. It's never fun to write the state runner-up stories.
Sure.
3A. Let's go to 3A girls.
Sorry, I sneezed.
There's a first sneeze, Skype sneeze right there. Bless you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sequoia Talcott. This one didn't surprise me at all. What surprised me is for the second year in a row, Adair kind of got upset in the semifinals.
Yeah, that struck me too.
Last year was Comanche. This year was Kingston, and it was a heck of a run for Kingston. Leading into the finals, they beat number 6 Washington, number 4 Comanche. Those were one was at regional, one was at area. Then they beat number 3 Preg at state. Then they beat number 1 Adair in the semifinals. And they were getting number 2 Sequoia Tahlequah in the finals, but Sequoia Tahlequah just too much. Lady Indians, they've got some girls that can go. And Coach Callison, he's a proven coach and does a fantastic job with them. But Alexis Keys, we talked to her after the game. She had 18 points, and Joni Walker, she was on 13 points, 9 rebounds. She was the force inside. But there was a stretch, I think. About midway through the third quarter, Kingston went up by 8 points. They were on a heck of a run, and then they just went ice cold. And the rest of the way, it was just all Sequoia Tahlequah. But, what is that? Their 6th title now.
Yeah.
You talk about, that's 3 in the last 4 years, I do believe. Three out of the last 4, 3 out of the last 5. It's just, I don't want to say quietly because, there were the years, of Angel, where they won the first 3 in a row there. But, this is one of those programs now that you've got to say it's one of the top programs in the state, and I know it's one that you're familiar with.
Well, it's funny because a buddy of mine, I don't know if you remember Richard Stroud.
Absolutely.
He was at the Grove paper for a while, and he and I joked that I was the black cloud in Tahlequah because while I was there, Sequoia didn't win any titles. Yeah. I arrived while Angel was at Kansas doing her thing. Sequoia kept making the state tournament, sure.
Yeah.
But never won a title. And then I leave, and now they're winning titles again. So clearly, I have some sort of hex that follows me around.
Yeah. Well.
But if I'm if I'm doing stuff for the world, someone has to win. So.
Yeah, not everybody can lose. But yeah, and this is a team. I don't see them going anywhere for a while. So.
Whenever I saw that I saw Cena Hayes ended up at NSU, but you got girls like Alexis Keys, and then something like Lana Gass and all those other girls, they just keep churning them out.
Yeah.
I remember when I was there, a new really good player would just be coming up in the ranks. So it's a program that's not going anywhere anytime soon, like you said.
Yeah. So it'd be interesting to see if they can keep it going. And honestly, I love it when Sequoia is at the state tournament because the crowd is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I love it when they're there and when they're loud and when they do their thing. And I don't know what you call that thing, but I'm not going to try to make the sound, but it's awesome. And, one of my best memories at state involves Sequoia Tahlequah, and this was several years ago when you probably didn't even know what basketball was, when the boys played, and this was 2007, maybe 6.
Rodney Clark.
No, that was 2008 when they played Rodney in the finals. But it was a year after Sequoia won it. The boys, they played Riverside in the quarterfinals, and they were doing a documentary also of this and the arena. 2008 was as full as I've ever seen the arena.
Right.
But that quarterfinal game, it was like chilling. It was really cool to be in there and to see both of those fan bases. Just a really cool moment there. But I digress. Let's hop to 3A boys and call it an upset if you want. I don't really, and it's not a knock on Kingston at all. I think Kingston had certainly, played a tough enough schedule. They were prepared, but Star Spencer, I had been able to watch them earlier in the year take on Millwood. And Star Spencer, they could get after you defensively, and I think that's what they did early to Kingston. And Kingston, they kept clawing and kept clawing and kept clawing back, and finally at the very end, were able to close the gap and force some overtime. But couldn't. Once they got to overtime, as Latarius Smith, I think he dropped 2 big 3-pointers to start the overtime period, put him up 6, and. Kingston just couldn't match it. But, I think Latarius, did he have 24 of his 28 in the second half? Or he had a huge fourth quarter even in overtime. That's what it was, the fourth quarter in overtime for him.
Yeah.
Where he just dominated the game. And
even more, I heard it was the last 4 minutes of the fourth quarter plus overtime.
Yeah.
So I keep it pretty late.
Yeah. So, and one thing that I'd also noticed in this game, in the first half alone, Star Spencer played 13 kids. And you can do that on the third day of a 3-day tournament. That's going to play to your benefit, and I think it certainly did. It was Kingston. They shot 3 of 21 from 3-point range. That's that's what I call that third day. The third day legs right there. You see that happen a lot. Whereas Star Spencer, they were getting to the rim, and they were 21 of 42 for the game, 50% for the game. So that was your ball game right there. Jacob Germany, I'd heard mixed reviews on him. I'm pretty impressed with him. He's not a strong kid. He's listed at 6'11". I'm not sure he's 6'11", but his game isn't to go in there and overpower you. He's a finesse player, but he's got a good touch. He's got good post moves, and he's going to get pushed around and bullied some, but he never really gets frustrated. He had 20 points and 15 rebounds in the finals, and help me out, TCU coach Jamie Dixon. He was there. He was there to see him play.
Okay.
And I'd heard that they were interested in him, but he was certainly there on press row to watch him play Saturday. Mike Boynton was there later in the day.
The only head coach we had was Paul Mills, and obviously he runs the building now at ORU, and then we had all the other assistants. We got Scott Sutton, his return, so that was interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. So and it was good to see some coaches there. To see some of these players. But, Star Spencer, they came in with 7 losses. There's just kind of a little Twitter spat going on with a guy who runs a Twitter page and calls himself media. And basically called Latarius Smith foolish for basically guaranteeing that they would get to the finals. And so it was brought up again after the fact. And Latarius didn't bring it up. Other people brought it up, but Latarius was there to say thank you, guys.
Wasn't it Chris Wolfong said something?
Yeah. No. Chris was the one who made sure to point out that Latarius was right, and
exactly.
Absolutely. And so that's been fun. But and I got to talk to Latarius after the game. He's very humble, and it was good to see him. And Coach Lance Cudjoe. The Cudjoe family is just legendary in Oklahoma City, especially with Douglas. But Lance's cousins and uncles and dad, have all, won state titles. And now Lance was able to, as a head coach, for the first time, add his name to the list. So congratulations to him as Star Spencer won its 9th title overall, I do believe, there.
First one since 2009.
What's that?
First one since 2009.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And I was there for that one as well.
There you go.
Let's see.
So what you're telling me is the second Saturday in March, we always know where to find you.
And the first one, too.
Okay. Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I'm there for A and B as well.
That's true.
Yeah, so I get to spend a couple of weekends. And, and every now and then I'm there for wrestling, too. So it depends on how many Kingfisher kids are in it. So sometimes I'm there for 3 weekends.
Well, there you go.
You can't get enough State Fair Arena. Let's go to 2A now. We'll go to the last game of the entire tournament, and that was Wright City and Latta, number 1 versus number 2. The coaches had this one right. Wright City just close game early, but really just dominated, pulled away down the stretch, and I kind of was keeping track, and Robert Briley is the one that everybody talks about, and rightfully so. He had 28 points in the semis. He's just been a stud his whole career. But with, in the at some point in the fourth quarter, he had only 6 or 8 points. But everybody else is doing so much that he didn't need to be doing a whole lot. His brother CJ Briley was red hot. He didn't miss a shot from the field. I think he missed 1 free throw the whole game. He's 1 of 2. From the foul line, but made all 3 of his 3-pointers and the other 4. He scored 18 points. Robert ended up with 14 points and 11 rebounds. The team shot 10 of 20 from 3-point range overall. And if Wright City's going to make 50% of its 3-pointers, just forget it, because that's going to pull you out of the lane. You've got to go guard them. and then Robert's just going to posterize whoever's in the lane. And we had that at the end where CJ was able to, as they kind of spread Letta out, and CJ, they kind of broke down the defense, and CJ ran down through an alley-oop to his brother, kind of the exclamation point on the game. And it was a thunderous dunk. But Letta was trying to repeat, couldn't quite get it done. But, Letta, that's kind of, and this is kind of something I talked about last year. You think of Letta, you think baseball. But now this is, really turning into a well-rounded program, if nothing else. This was their 4th title game since 2013, yeah. And so, they'd won the previous 3. So, Latta's looks like a program that's really here to stay. And I know you like baseball, and so you're familiar with, the Lattas and Dales of the world. And Dale has been successful in basketball, but it's impressive what Latta has been able to do in basketball of late.
To me, what's cool is places like Wright City, just in the far corners of the state. And you could probably speak to it more, but I'm sure there was just, the entire town showing up at 9:15 in Oklahoma City for a chance of a state title. Yeah, and I talked to Coach Dixon. I mean, and this was Wright City's first ever state title, period, any sport, right? Which is hard to believe. I mean, they've been good in baseball. They've been good in girls basketball. They've been good in boys basketball. So it's hard to believe. And, I think right now they're number 1 in baseball, just as the season's getting started. Sure. But it's hard to believe that Wright City has never won a state championship in anything. So, it was the crowd was there. They were loud, and they were very appreciative. That's cool to me.
Yeah. And they stuck around, and, it was a great scene, and it was a great way to end the tournament to see a whole town, celebrate some guys who have been building to that state championship. On the girls' side, we had another number 1 versus number 2, another game that everybody really wanted to see all season. That was Christian Heritage and Cashin. Christian Heritage repeats, finishes 30-0 as it beat Cashin 57-46. And the interesting thing here was last year nobody knew about CHA. They get to state as an unranked team. They beat Howe in the first round, Cashin in the second round, and Dale in the finals, and that was like 1, 2, 3. Those teams are ranked 1, 2, 3. Dale had beaten them by 30 or 40 earlier in the season. But they didn't sneak up on anybody this year, and they kind of had the targets, and they go 30-0, and really just kind of dominated the fourth quarter against a very good Cashin team that had a very good, Sydney Manning. She got hot in the second quarter, part of a 15-0 run as Cashin led at halftime by 7 points. But Sydney, she kind of her shot left her in the second half. She missed all 6 of her 3-point attempts. Presley Payasapi did what she could. She's a Northwestern commit. And Tally Robson shot pretty well early, but I tell you what, the big 3 of Christian Heritage, and this is a young core. We're talking sophomores and juniors, I believe, and Olivia Curtis, Riley Langerman, and Lexi Davis. And then they got Micah Parrish. She scored 13 points. She was 4 or 5 from long range, and I mean that's in addition to what the big 3 give you. And I tell you, Lexi Davis, she's the one, the volleyball player. She's committed to OU in volleyball. And Langerman, OSU was there Friday to see CHA in Fairview, and I got a pretty good hint, the hint that they were there to see Riley play. Olivia, she's extremely talented. So, Christian Heritage is a team that's not going anywhere anytime soon. So,
what's funny about 2A is I think it was early December. Whenever the first coaches rankings were thrown up on OSSArankings.com, and someone had made a comment about Christian Heritage being ranked number 1. Well, anyways, it spawned into this long argument over the span of weeks, I think it was.
Yeah.
And even involved, I think at one point people, just turned into a big public-private debate all over again. And it's kind of funny that, and it kind of started between, people arguing Christian Heritage number 1 and then Cashin.
Yeah.
So it's funny, it comes down to this in the end. And, these two teams play a couple times, maybe it goes Cashin's way. So just kind of
yeah. I mean, if they played 10 times, I would give Cashin a few wins. I mean, because Sydney Manning and Presley Payasapi are definitely solid players. I mean, Sydney's going to Missouri State. She's one of the top girls players in the state. Presley's just strong and so athletic, and Tally can go off at any time like she did in the semifinals. But it'd be tough. I mean, I've talked to some people who think that CHA is the best team in the state, hands down.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, they are. I mean, they're athletic, they're talented, they know how to play, they D you up. The 46 points is the most they've given up all season long. So they are a good team. And I kind of jokingly sent Brady Hamer, who is the Sealing coach. They've won 3 in a row, and they've got, they're going to be the hands-down favorite to win. I said, but let's go, right now, CHA and Sealing, make it happen. Because they both have everybody coming back. And he said it could happen next year because the Mustang Classic, it's Sealing, CHA, Frontier, Owasso, Mustang, Edmond North, Midwest City, and Pecola. So, some really fun potential matchups there. But Sealing, and this kind of gets off the larger schools, but Sealing, of course, won its 3rd in a row in Class A. One of the Gore sisters goes out. Macy Gore went out with a knee injury against Owasso in the semis, and Owasso went on that 13 or 14-0 run to win a close game. And Sealing went on the road and beat Cashin by double digits. I mean, you got to see it's a really good Sealing team, and so they had to struggle to win Class A this year. They were really pushed, but so some pretty good small school talent out there this year, and not to take anything away, but like I said, I think CHA is legit. They're really, really good.
All right.
Well, that's going to do it. What we hoped was going to be about 15 to 20 minutes is now 37 minutes and counting, but that's what you get when I get too long-winded. But anything from the season, Ben, that just jumped out at you that you were happy to see, disappointed didn't happen?
Nothing really comes to mind, honestly. I spend so much of the wintertime covering ORU basketball. That's why the last couple of weeks, I really get fired up to do some high school basketball, and especially state tournaments are always so much more fun than everything else. So it's just fun to get back in it for a couple of weeks and have some fun and watch it all.
All right, man. Well, like I said, welcome to the crew and everybody out there. Be looking for Ben's stuff. You go to Squirtle.com, go to the Squirtle app, and there'll be links on there to it. And like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and follow Ben as well. We've got his Twitter handle on his byline on the site, so be sure to follow Ben if you don't already, so you can get smarted up real good. All right, Ben, appreciate your time. Let's do this again. Let's not wait too long to do it, though.
All right, sounds good. Have a good one.
All right, thanks, guys, for watching.